everybody, whether you're on the East Coast, West Coast, or around the world. This is Coast to Coast. Happy Monday morning, everybody. How's it going?
It's going great. How about you?
Man, you're selling it. That was.
Well, I don't know who's going to start.
That was inspiring right there. Yeah, it's going great. Yay!
I purposely waited to let you go first, so I didn't talk over you, and that's what I get in return. It's like going on a date with a beautiful woman and realize she has the personality of a wet towel. Yeah, hey, man. I expected more from a guy wearing a salmon/orange shirt.
Oh man! Well,
in your Darth Vader chair.
Hey, all I can say, Jay, is I think the Pacers might be coming out of the East after what they did to the Cavaliers last night.
I mean, you knew the Cavs were done though.
Yeah,
like they've looked gassed, and they have so many people that are hurt.
But those people came back.
I know, but when you come off an injury, your first game back is not like go and kill it. Like that's not how that works. You usually have a little bit of rust.
What's going on, West Coast Wendy? Happy Mother's Day, Mrs. Feather.
Yep. And nope.
Golly, man. Just coming out. Well, he did put the happy face emoji on there, so he wasn't being rude. See, that's like no offense, and then you can say whatever you want. As long as you put a happy face emoji, everything turns out well.
Yeah, the LOL makes you sound less like a jerk. Is that what it is? I got you. Frankie So a lot of the teams had rookie mini camps, and it's funny that we're in the time of year that it's hype season, right? Because everybody's just like, oh, look how good they looked in rookie mini camps. And you're just like, okay, calm down. There's no pass rush. There's no defense. Like, everybody should look awesome, right? Like you should be working on timing. And so one of the guys that it cracks me up because he says a lot of stuff that I feel like is ridiculous is Kurt Blankenship. He used to be a backup for Green Bay.
No,
I think his career stats are minus 2 yards for 2 kneel downs. Hey,
besides what he did in the UFL, he played 5 good games in the UFL.
Yeah, he did do that. But I was referring to his NFL career.
Yeah, NFL stuff.
He has 2 kneel downs. But it was funny because he posts this picture of Milroe completing a pass. It was like a 20-yard throw, right? And he's like, I thought he couldn't throw. And it's like, dude, calm down. There was no pass rush. There was no defense on the player. You better connect on that throw. Like, what are we talking about right now?
Yeah.
But I always find it funny because he posts stuff out there, and it's just like, man, like, I understand it's hype season, but let's calm down. Like, let's just let this kid develop and become what he's supposed to become. Not try and like build a scenario where he's got to be forced on the field right away. But then on the other end of it, no longer talking about Kurt. When you looked at Shedeur throwing the ball, there's one mechanical thing that he does consistently that they're going to have to teach him not to do. And he is a ball tapper. He likes to do the one tap throw. One, it slows your mechanics down. But 2, that sure telegraphs that the ball's coming out.
Yep.
Like, I loved ball tappers as a defensive back. It's like, oh, cool, I can break on this ball.
Yeah, it's almost like you're tipping when you're a pitcher and you're tipping your pitches. I mean,
exactly it.
Once you see that tap, you're like, okay, it's coming. And then once you see where the head is facing when he taps, you know where it's going. It's an easy pick off if you're easy enough to get it.
Yeah, Frankie, let's go. Hopefully we play better than we did against the Jays because we got swept.
No, I like a lot of times I think they do those one on the media, you get that one play, and then they'll talk trash about it, but you don't see the rest of the interview. Dylan Gabriel is an example that I guess you saw that where he's in the video and he throws the interception, and then Shador goes. I think Shador does. He completes this little 5-yard dump touchdown pass to Judkins, and then making Shador look like the best thing in the whole wide world, and then making Gabriel look like garbage. And I don't know. I always find that to be interesting to me, Bo.
I'm with you. I mean, the media has their spin they want to put on stuff. Obviously, they want Shador to make it because that's just easy stories to write, right? Like you don't have to try and fabricate stuff because he's going to make enough noise on and off the field that the stories will write themselves, right? With Gabriel, he's just going to go out there and do his job. So that's not the most interesting writing. So they're always going to want the guy that's a train wreck.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. And I'm wondering, I think it's almost interesting from a media perspective, the fact that Shador took on 12, that he crashes and burns. I think it makes for better storylines, honestly.
Well, if he crashes and burns, it's a good storyline anyway.
Right.
Regardless of the number.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, because there was so much hype coming out. I did find it interesting that, he said a lot of the hate that was coming his way was because of his dad, and he's not wrong.
What are you talking about?
Well, I mean, but he plays his role in it for sure. But I mean, his dad definitely didn't help the scenario. It always just makes me think of LeVar Ball.
Yeah.
Right. So, yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. He either needs to absolutely ball out or crash and burn. If he's kind of in the middle, like that's where it's like,
It was a fun story while it lasted.
Pretty much. Yeah. Especially if he doesn't beat out Gabriel, right? Because then where does he end up?
Let me ask you a couple of questions. Number one, so Dylan Gabriel has come out and said that he is embracing the addition of Shador.
Sure.
I wonder if that is just him, putting himself in a good PR spotlight. Like, is that really how he really feels? Or does he really think like, I got to say this to make myself look good, but I really freaking hate this guy?
No, like, honestly, it can be really good, especially if he beats him out.
Right.
Because Shador got all of the press because they just make the most noise, right? Yeah. But if he beats him out, then all of a sudden the story about Gabriel is like, oh, okay, like, dude can play. So honestly, I think it probably has something to do with that. And some of it is PR. Like, what do you expect him to say? Be like, oh, I was mad. And it's like, you haven't made no one's made the team yet.
Right.
Like, you were drafted, but that doesn't mean anything. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's two different things. I think one of it's a PR thing. Like, you have to say that. And then at the other end of it, it's like, look, I think I can beat this guy. I think I'm better than this guy. And if I win this job over him, everyone else is going to see that I'm better than him too.
Yep.
So, and of course, Wen has some love for him because Oregon. But yeah, no, I mean, like, he's a good kid. Like, I got the chance to talk to him a little bit. So, I mean, like, it was like good dude. But yeah, I mean, some of that you have to say that.
Yeah, of course. And let me ask you, I guess my second question is, Shador is more of a 5 to 10 yard passer. So if you're a guy like a tight end, or if you're a slot, or if you're, in this case, a running back in Judkins or somebody like that, would you want maybe Shador more to be your quarterback because you're going to get more of a higher volume of passing going that route with like a guy like him versus maybe Gabriel, who may be a little bit more down the field? Not that you're not going to get those short passes, but it's just a more higher volume would be with a guy like Shador.
No, honestly, I think Gabriel actually fits that offensive scheme better, which is why they drafted him over Shador. I mean, at some point, Shador was going to go because as a fifth rounder, even if he would have dipped into sixth round, you can't deny the fact that dude threw for 4,000 yards in college last year. Yeah. So, I mean, like, you have to take a flyer on him. So, but at the same time, when you look at the offense that the Browns run, Gabriel actually fits that style better than Shedeur. So, we'll kind of see what it is. I think it'll be a fun quarterback battle.
Oh, I definitely think it's going to be a fun quarterback battle. I just think one number I think that can be skewed a lot is Gabriel does throw the ball deeper on a more regular basis than what Shedeur does. So sometimes I feel like when you do throw it a little bit deeper, it opens you up, or especially across the middle, it opens you up to more interceptions than what Shedeur would face on a 5 or 10 yard, quick out pass or whatever. So I wonder if that number is going to go against Gabriel because he does throw the ball a little bit more into the coverage areas than what Shedeur does.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. When you're looking at completion percentage in college,
right?
Take a look at the top 10 completion percentage guys. So Shedeur actually was the best.
Right?
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But when you look at the rest of the top 10 of best completion percentage during college, none of those guys panned out.
Mm-hmm.
Top 10 best completion percentage in NCAA Division I, none of them panned out. Like a couple of the guys made it, to the league, obviously, but none of them did anything. So I wouldn't look at a ton of that. I also wouldn't even necessarily look at a lot of the interceptions, especially during college, because when you look at Oregon, think of that offense. Like that offense was about letting it rip, right? Well, you're going to throw some picks. When you look at Colorado, that's not the way their offense was designed. So if you're throwing shorter passes, of course your completion percentage is higher. Right.
For sure.
So, I mean, I don't think those things, even though the numbers exist, I don't think they necessarily really lead to decision-making within the building. I think they're going to wait until they see what happens in their facility because they're just wildly different offenses that were ran.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I just know, as fans of the game, we typically do look at completion percentage. We do get touchdown, versus interception. I mean, those are the common ones, that we look at. But I think you're right. In the building, they're not necessarily looking at what the fans are looking at, those specific numbers. They probably are looking at the deeper numbers, yards after the catch or on the run, percentage of completions on the run, things like that. I mean, I'm sure there's
and think about it, think about when you're talking about completion percentage, touchdown to interception ratios. You're looking at those stats while they're in the NFL. You don't look at those as much when they're in college.
Right.
Because you're still developing. I mean, some of the best NFL quarterbacks didn't have a great touchdown to interception ratio in college.
Right.
Like they were decent and they put up yards and whatever, but they weren't the 2-to-1, 3-to-1 that you hope to see in the NFL. A lot of them were pretty much like 1.5 or 2-to-1, So
for sure.
Yeah. So, I mean, those are things that you can kind of train out of people. It's mechanic things that you worry about a little bit. Like when you look at Gabriel, he has really clean mechanics, right? He comes back, he drops back, he sets up, he throws, real clean, quick release. When you look at Shedeur, especially now that you're seeing him tap the ball, it's like, those are mechanical things that now you have to try and untrain him to do because that's a subconscious tap and go thing.
Oh, absolutely. It's almost like muscle memory. It's a muscle memory thing.
That's exactly it.
To break a muscle memory, that's hard. You're right. It's hard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, when you're going against defense, like I was always looking for little things that each guy ever did, right? Like if I knew that I was, playing in a zone or something, I'd be looking at, the offensive tackles. Because their stance would change, whether it was a running play or a passing play. So you could kind of change the way you lined up, or if you were going to jam a guy, or whatever. So when you see guys that tap the ball, or if it's a running play, they lean a little too far forward, and you can see the way their hand is positioned. Those are all things that you're looking for. And if you have a guy that has an obvious tell, that helps us on the other side of the ball. So all of those mechanical things, those are harder things to train out of guys.
Right. I don't know if you guys have that number or not. I don't have it, but I would be interested to know from snap to throw who has the quicker pass, and in terms of getting the ball out of the backfield, right?
As
If
far
it's
as
Gabriel or Gabriel. Yeah, in terms of those two.
It's Gabriel. I can tell you, I don't even have to look it up. It's Gabriel. Because of all of the quarterbacks selected, Shador had one of the slowest releases.
Okay.
That's why he took as many sacks as he did.
That's what I was gonna say. Like when you take as many sacks as Shador does, like obviously you're holding on to the ball too long, but then at the same time, some people would think that he gets the ball out quick because of the high completion percentage. Like if he knows he's under pressure, you're gonna just quick dump it off for a quick 2-3 yard pass.
Yeah, no, he does have one of the slower releases. The thing is even if it's a quick pass, even with a slower release, you're starting it sooner because you're not taking a 4 or 5 step drop.
Yeah,
you're 3 step and let it rip. Most offensive lines can hold up for that.
Yeah.
And let's be honest. I mean, I don't. Cleveland's offensive line. I don't know it well enough, but I know they don't have one of the better offensive lines. So you're going to have somewhat of a quick release to stay upright.
Yeah. So the one thing I will give
that's the strength of the team.
Is although he's not a hyper athletic guy, right? Like he's not going to take off and run and do anything spectacular. He is good enough to get out of trouble.
Yes.
Right. Like he can maneuver around within the pocket and extend a play and stuff like that. So even like they don't have a bad offensive line, but it's not elite. Right. So he is going to have to move around, but he can do that. And Gabriel is the same way. Like he can move around and make things happen. So that's why I think this is going to be a very fun quarterback battle to watch.
You got to imagine it's going to be fun. That's one of the downsides I thought to Quinn Ewers. That I felt like, it really hurt him or exposed him a little bit in that Georgia game was his decision making. And I think he I don't think he necessarily has the quickest of release. I don't think he's the slowest either. I think he's probably average of the pack, honestly. He's probably average. But I thought that was one of the things that hurt him. And that was one of the knocks on him. Number one was the fact that he couldn't stay healthy long enough. And number two was his decision-making and getting the ball out. Those were some of the bigger knocks on him. And I think that Georgia game really kind of exposed Ewers a little bit, which obviously is why his draft stock went from being Heisman or being in the Heisman conversation to, okay, no, not really. This guy's just, average. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, that'll be, I don't know. I'm looking forward to it. Should be a fun battle to watch, especially for what it is we do. Because I imagine that's a story that'll have a lot of twists and turns. Gabe Davis flying to San Fran. That's interesting. I actually like him for you guys. Not as a Seahawks fan, but the analyst hat on. That's actually not a terrible fit, especially because you can get him cheap.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that would actually be a good pickup.
That is interesting. Gabe Davis, opposite of Ayuk and Kittle. Yeah, that could be.
No, that'd be a great pickup after losing Debo. Like that'd be a great spot for him. Yeah. No, it's. I hope you don't get him, but it would be a good fit.
Hold on, though, but wasn't there another wide receiver though that got released the same time as Gabe Davis did? I forget which one it was though.
There's been a few. Gabe Davis was. He's probably the more talented of the guys that have been released.
Right.
And I think Gabe Davis being released was just them ensuring the fact that they're going to use Travis Hunter as a receiver instead of a DB, because otherwise I'd have been a pretty full receiver room.
Mm-hmm.
But by forcing him out, especially because he signed a bigger contract, it's that was them just trying to save some cap money moving forward and ensuring that when they said they're going to use him as a receiver, now they have to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish I could remember. There was another one. I wish I could remember the other one. I cannot, for some reason, skip my mind. But yeah, I mean, it's you're right. I mean, they have a crowded receiver room. Travis Hunter is a wide receiver, though. I mean, it's going to be interesting. I wonder how he's looking at it. If that's something that because I never really heard what position he likes better, one way or the other, defense or offense.
Well, so he wants to be able to play both. For you to effectively play both, you'd want to be on defense and then have packages in offense. And for a team that needs defense, I'm surprised they didn't go that route. But if he's looking at contract time, you absolutely want to be a receiver because receivers make more money than DBs. So if you're looking at it from a earning standpoint, 100% you want to be a receiver. Like it's not even a question.
Well, according to the coach, Liam Cohen, apparently Travis Hunter has been learning both the offense and defensive playbooks, which we knew he would.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently, I guess he's going to get his first appearance on defense next week. So that should be interesting to see how that works out.
Yeah, I would bet that he probably comes in like maybe some nickel and dime packages is probably how he gets used in the defense. That way you're not using him a ton, but you still have some packages for him, so he's happy. But you're not going to give this guy 150 snaps a game. You're just not going to do it. Mm-hmm. So he's going to play one side or the other. So in that scenario, if you're him, even though I think he's a better DB than receiver, receivers make more money. Yeah. And it's not like it's a small number. Your top DB versus your top receiver is a difference of almost $10 million a year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's significant. It's not like, I'd give up a couple mil to be in a better spot. No, like it's got an extra zero. So yeah. I'd lean to the receiver side too if I was the player.
I almost wonder, and I gotta think that a lot of how he gets used, I wouldn't be surprised if it's a matchup thing, whether it be offense or defense. More used one way or the other way. I'm sure he'll play both ways during a lot of games, but I wonder if the majority of the time he spends, whether it be offense or defense, I gotta think that's going to be a matchup based type of thing. Wouldn't you think?
Man, I don't know, because that could really mess with timing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I don't know that you go that route. I would bet that it's probably a scenario where you're in nickel and dime because then you have that extra DB on the field instead of it being a linebacker. So that's probably where you do that. Otherwise you just kind of end up in a spot where you might be making your defense worse.
Yeah.
In other football news, that Derek Carr injury had to be pretty serious for him to just abruptly kind of retire over the weekend.
Yeah, him retiring was interesting. It makes you think that the recovery is just not going well.
Either that or
they said what he had. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, either that or he just doesn't feel like he'll be able to get to the level post injury where if it's something like you saw that, I can't remember the quarterback, but there was a quarterback in the early 2000s that was playing at an elite level, ended up hurting his shoulder and could never get back to the level that he was pre-injury. So you wonder if that's maybe kind of in his mind too, is maybe he's not going to be able to play at that level that he was at.
Well, and it's not like they didn't draft a guy, right? Like they draft Tyler Shough in the second, right? Which if you got a second rounder, you think he's going to play at some point. And even if everything was going right, Carr was going to miss a significant part of this season. Yep. So in that scenario, if Tyler was playing well, you're not going to pull him back out. Like you may just have recovered to not play anyway. So you add that to what sounded like there was maybe delays in the recovery process. And I thought he had a surgery, or he has another surgery that he needs or something.
He had surgery back in January, but now he might need another one because the report I saw said there's something with nerve damage. And that's the part where I think he might never get back to where he was, because if there's nerve damage in your shoulder, that's not something that a surgery is going to fix. That's something that's just going to be chronic. And
and not just that, sometimes it affects your hand.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I remember the thing I saw. I guess he took injections. That didn't work. Then, like you said, he had that surgery. And from what it sounds like, there was a lot of complications after the surgery, which means another surgery. And from what it was saying, he was going to miss all of 25 into 26, and maybe even some of 26 into 27. And by that time, I'm pretty sure if I'm Derek Carr, I'm probably thinking like, I'm not a young spring chicken. Now I'm a little older in the tooth. Do I really want to continue down destroying my body just to try to get on the field for a few spot reps, only retire pretty soon anyway because of my age? I think he's probably looking at it from a business decision and say, you know what, let me just get my body right, and then I'm going to go pursue whatever endeavors I have off of the field, which I would respect that completely.
I mean,
Well, I would imagine that he ends up in a booth, right?
Yeah.
I mean, his brother's been in one forever.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I would bet he has an easy path to get into one of the booths and talk about football. So I think that transition for him will be relatively easy.
And you have to wonder if the current situation played a role in it too, because of how bad the Saints are right now and kind of the position they're in with salary cap hell and all that. Where if he would have been on a team that was more set up to win now, maybe he does just take the year off and just try to come back next year knowing that he's got a shot to possibly make the playoffs and make a Super Bowl run versus you're in New Orleans. This team's at least 3 years away from competing in my opinion, and he's only got 2 years left on his contract. So you got to probably kind of weigh that into the factor too. He's like, what's the point of me coming back to a situation where if I come back and I'm not where I was, the team's not going anywhere anyways.
Damn. It says it's been determined that Carr had a labral tear and the significant degenerative changes in his rotator cuff. Yeah, that dude was never getting better.
That's what I'm saying.
That dude was only going to get worse. He was never going to experience ever get to 100% recovery.
Yeah, that's where the nerve damage was coming into play. Was
that's
rotator cuff
crazy.
issues.
Yeah, I mean, and that's where you're flying to other countries and getting the stem cell injections. And I mean, you're going to do all the things money can buy because that's the advantage of being a high-paid athlete. But at the same time, will it ever be right?
Probably not.
Maybe not.
Look, I don't care how much crap you throw in your body. You're still a mortal human being. And there ain't but so much you can do, Bubba. And I don't know how old Carr was. I'm pretty sure he was, 34. At least 30, 34, right? Yeah, so you're already a mid-30s with degenerative issues. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, but human doctor technology has not gotten to a point where you think you're ever going to get back to anything significant.
What are you talking about? Look around Hollywood. All those people are vampires. They look the same for 30 years.
Well, plastic surgery is different. Oh, yeah, but you got to look at it from a quality of life standpoint. What's your quality of life like? I mean, it can't be great.
That's the thing, is you have a lot of years after football.
Yeah. And you can't tell me he don't have enough money in the bank to fulfill his life.
He did just fine. Behind Kirk Cousins, he's definitely one of the higher paid quarterbacks to have never won a playoff game.
Yeah. He's only been to the playoffs twice, though, hasn't he? Once with the Raiders and once with the Saints, or both come with the Raiders?
What's that?
He's only been to the playoffs twice, too, hasn't he? Once with the Saints and once with the Raiders, or both with the Raiders?
No, he's only been one time. He's 0-1 in the playoffs. Yeah,
I don't think he's done anything with the Saints at all.
No, they didn't do anything with the Saints. He is 0-1 with the Raiders. Because remember, when he was with the Raiders, he had a bottom 3 defense almost the entire time he was there. So even though his numbers looked good, the defense couldn't stop anything.
Yeah, the only playoff game he played in would have been the game against Joe Burrow, where he actually outplayed Joe Burrow the entire game until that last drive when he got picked off in the end zone. And had he not got picked off in the end zone, Raiders win that game by 3 because I think it was a 24-20 game.
Yeah, I don't remember what the score was, but yeah, I remember the game. But yeah, it was unfortunate. He just happened to play on bad teams. Or when he went to the Saints, the roster looked good, but the coaching was horrendous.
Right.
In other football news, tomorrow, I'm pretty sure Pags will be on the show. And if you want to see a retro delusional Cowboys version of Jay McLovin, go at Pags, because guess what? We start the opener against the Philadelphia Eagles. Tomorrow will be the day to watch, because I'm pretty sure some sparks are flying, and I'm pretty sure I can get that nerve right here on Pags' neck to poke out 3 inches.
Hey, you want to talk about sparks flying? Trey Hendrickson just put the Cincinnati Bengals on blast.
Did he?
Yes.
What did he say?
Basically said ever since the draft, he's been trying to resolve the contract issue with the Bengals because he wants to stay with the Bengals. And given his level of play, the way he's played the last 4 years, Cincinnati's kind of been lowballing him. He's just basically saying my level of play puts me in this upper echelon of defensive ends. You're basically offering me a contract that's putting me in this percentage of the defensive ends. Cincinnati is now refusing to talk to Trey Hendrickson. Like, they won't even speak to Trey Hendrickson.
Wow. So you know, so where's he getting traded to? I wonder.
He basically put him on blast. He's like, I've been standing on my own two. He's like, I've been standing my ground. I've been the bigger person in this whole situation, trying to resolve this issue. He's like, no more being the bigger person. They're refusing to talk to me at this point. At this point, our relationship is done.
No, I mean, and that makes sense, especially when you have 3 guys on the offense that make more than the entire defense. And you're telling me you can't pay me as like one of the few pieces of the defense that works? Yeah, I mean, it makes sense.
If you're Trey Hendrickson and you know the game of football, at least on the money side of football, and like you said, Bo, when 3 of your top people are making more than the whole damn defense, you got to know you're not going to get the money. So you probably are going to go to ownership and say, hey, look, I know you just spent every last dime you had on Higgins and Chase and Burrow. So let me just make this easy. I know you can't afford me. Just trade me. I'll go somewhere else. You'll get some draft picks out of it. It'll be a win-win for all of us. And the fact that they're not even talking to him, if I was Hendrickson, I would be a little pissed.
See, the thing is,
it would be broken.
Because he went out on blast like that, basically showing he wants out, his trade value just fell apart.
Yeah.
Because everybody knows that you're either going to get rid of him now or he's just walking away at the end of the year.
Right.
So you're not going to get what you could have got if they would have been adults in the situation and been talking and not got to a resolution, but kept it in-house. Then they could have fished, for options, because then they can spin the story as, we got to get some extra pieces to be able to rebuild this defense. And, you could say stuff like that, but because you guys aren't talking now, all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, he's leaving no matter what. So we don't have to give him anything special to get this guy because he already doesn't want to be there.
And you gotta think, what's the common thing athletes and owners always say? It's not personal. It's the business. It's business. It's the business. So here's my thing. And I know Hendricks is smart enough to know that everything is business oriented. And if because you're not just an athlete, you're also a business. You're your own business. And why would you pay your agent so much a percentage of your contract and not go talk to him and say, you know what, before I go on blast and say all of this stuff, what do you think we should do here? You're my agent. I pay you. Advise me. What is our move? What is our strategy to get me the hell out of here and on to my next place? And like you said, Bo, keep my trade value at a very good rate.
Yeah.
So that's something a bad business move on this part.
Let me follow that with this. How many great decisions did you make when you were 21, 22? Like really smart decisions? Probably not a ton.
Maybe one. I would say one.
I'd
say probably one.
That unfortunately is where a lot of these guys fall in, is they already have a ton of money. They got social media, something we didn't have to worry about when we were kids. It's very easy to do something like that. And really, exactly. When zero smart decisions. No, I mean, so that's the biggest thing, right? Is you're talking about young guys that are multimillionaires. A lot of those guys can't really be told anything, right? It's after the fact where your agent is like, yeah, you can't do this anymore. And they see the backlash from it and they're like, oh yeah, I probably just cost myself some money. So
here's the thing though, going back to your original question of how many smart decisions do we make when we were young? And I said one, because the one was I went to the military. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. I went to the military and I went off. But because of that one decision, and I got around smarter people that took me in, mentors and managers that took me in, and they made me do bigger and better things. And that's kind of what I'm saying. When he joined the NFL and he got an agent, and the agents are around him now, maybe he doesn't have a good enough agent. Maybe I don't know what that whole dynamic is over there, or maybe what his parents were like. But at some point, you would think there'd be some discussions of, hey, before we do this or that, from his agent to him. I mean, did they not have that? Do you think they didn't have that communication before he went and did what he did?
You're talking about a wildly different scenario. You went into a very structured environment where he went into let me hand you a ton of money where you can do whatever you want.
Right.
So, it's a little bit different because you were going into it looking for guidance. He's got an agent to get him more money. It's not the same. It's not your agent is not a drill sergeant.
Right, but don't the agents give them like business advice? Like, hey, before you do this, let's do this. I mean, I'm just curious. You don't think those conversations happened at some level before he went and did what he did?
I mean, probably not. He probably did it reactionary.
Okay.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like the team probably said something that finally rubbed him wrong enough that he's like, bah. And then his agent probably saw it on Twitter or Instagram or wherever it landed and was like, oh, yeah, so we should probably not do that. Like, I would bet later today or tomorrow or whatever that post, wherever it is probably deleted.
It came from Adam Schefter, and it actually came directly from a phone call, so it wasn't even on Twitter or anything else.
Oh, so that was that's actually worse because there's no way to get that back. Nope. I mean, not that you can get it back anyway, right? Because people have screenshotted it immediately.
Yep.
But if it was reported on by Schefter or Rappaport or anything like that, there's no putting that genie back in the bottle. Like that is out there forever.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that relationship at this point is more than tarnished. It's at the point now where it's like, we're going to trade you when we want to trade you and get what we can get, or tough luck, you're going to stay here for a year and suffer and pout like a little whiny baby, and then you can decide where you're going to go next year.
Yep.
So the worst thing he would have heard would be where possibly, I guess, he goes via trade. Like, his money is still the same, because when they renegotiate a contract, they're still gonna have to pay him if they want to keep him or whatever. I mean, so I don't know. Did he really hurt his money value, or just the spot where he would be landed?
He wouldn't necessarily hurt his money value where he's at, because it's already not going to be a done deal.
Right.
Where it can hurt your money a little bit is when you come out like this. Some GMs will look at it as, if things aren't going right, is he going to do the same crap to my team?
Yeah.
Right. So that all of a sudden can run some of these GMs rub them the wrong way. Because again, at the end of the day, there's 32 of them, right?
Yeah,
they talk.
Sure.
And so they do get influence from other teams. And so they're going to talk to the GM for the Bengals and be like, okay, what is this situation really like? We might be willing to make a deal. Obviously, he wants out. You guys aren't going to pay him. There's some contentious things happening there. But what's the real deal about him? Like, what is the problem? Why aren't you paying it? And that kind of information all of a sudden can affect his ability to get paid somewhere else.
It's also going to come up. It's also going to come up in those kind of talks. Like, how is your relationship with him? Like, is it really as bad as he says it is? Is it something that he said? Is it he said kind of pointing fingers at like that? Or like, how has your relationship been? Has it always been good up until recently? Or is it kind of one of those relationships that has been teetering on where it is now, and it just got to the point where it's just unresolvable at this point?
And owners can weigh in on that too. They can be like, hey, I don't like the optics of this. I don't want this on our team. So even if your GM was willing to pay him, you can have the owner shutting it down. Just be like, no, I'm not interested.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's all, it can cost you money. Those types of little things can definitely cost you money.
And I wonder if they'll look at it as maybe this is just a one-off, because I never really heard anything bad about Hendricks other than just this one thing where he came out and had this diarrhea of the mouth. But besides that, was just one comment. I've never really heard anything. I've never heard any reputation that says he's bad. So I wonder if GMs will look at that and be like, you know what? Maybe this is just a one-off.
Well, and that's why they'll make phone calls.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure.
They're going to call his agent. They're going to call the team. I mean, they're going to have all those phone numbers. So, I mean, they're going to do their due diligence before they try and do anything anyway. But because he came out and said this kind of stuff, that's where the team, because there's unhappiness there, all of a sudden his trade value drops.
Yes.
Just out of curiosity, are the GM for whatever team that may be looking to trade for him, would they be able to have the opportunity to talk to not necessarily just the GM? Because I think sometimes the GMs can be biased. Could they obviously have the opportunity to talk to the coach or the defensive coordinator to maybe get a more accurate assessment of the relationship or the reputation of Hendrickson? Or would that be considered tampering?
No, you can.
No. You're well within the ability to trade for guys. So I mean, you can make those phone calls. You can talk to coaches and staff and GMs, and
Okay.
his agent, him directly. Like you can make all those phone calls.
Okay. Because that's what I would want to talk to. I wouldn't care about the GM as much as let me talk to the coordinator. Let me talk to the coach. And because I think that's where you're going to get the real, what's it like working with him relationship.
Well, sort of, but you also got to keep in mind it's the GM that's making that phone call. Right. So the GM is going to have a relationship with those other GMs. So some of those other GMs are going to be like, oh, you know what? I trust this guy. We've dealt guys back and forth. They're straight shooter when it comes to stuff like this. So they're going to weigh in much heavier with their opinion than, a coach that maybe just got there or something like that. So, I mean,
yeah, that's a good point.
It really depends on the relationships.
Either way, it wasn't really a good business move on Hendrickson's side, though. So you get what you get.
Yeah, it's never smart. It's kind of like when guys are like, they're mad about a negotiation, and so they delete the team from all their social medias and stuff. It's like all that does is make you look petty.
Yeah.
Right? Like that, from the outside, that doesn't make it look like, oh, I'm standing my ground. It's like, really? You deleted them from social media? Like that's the most petty little like jab at the team ever. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
the Bengals are so cheap. I mean, Trav, you're not wrong. But
yeah, well, they did give the three guys in the offense a hell of a lot of money. So
that's why they're cheap.
They got no money.
The rest of their team is, the old I will gladly pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today. Like that is the Bengals at this point.
Right.
You got to be a certain age to get that reference, though, for those of you watching.
Is it time, though, that maybe they go to Chase and Burrow and Higgins and say, look, I know we just gave you all this money. Let's just do a little restructuring so we can free up some other stuff for some other places. Would y'all be open to that?
T won't do it because he just signed his contract.
No, not so much T, I know, because he just signed, but maybe Burrow and Chase might.
Chase ain't going to do it because Chase is a diva. Chase will be he would be the last one on that team to ever restructure his contract. He is the biggest diva on that team. There is no way Chase restructures this deal.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like he's definitely not. He is all about him.
Higgins, honest, if you came to T Higgins next year and asked if T Higgins would restructure, I think T Higgins would consider doing it next year. Same thing with Joe Burrow, but there ain't no way in heck Chase will do it.
I mean, it's not like Higgins' deal was amazing anyway.
No.
So I don't know. That'll also be a weird situation to watch, is what the Bengals end up doing. But I think their team's going to look very similar to last year, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're going to win games because they can outrun you. But that's it. So if you actually stop their offense, you're probably winning. Because their defense isn't going to stop anything.
Mm-hmm. Since we're talking about players and where they could end up, now Giannis is open to exploring other options that he could be a better fit at than just Milwaukee. So, Stag, I know you brought this up a little while ago that maybe he might go somewhere. What do you think now? You think next year maybe Giannis isn't playing for the Bucks and maybe he plays for somebody else? And if so, I wonder who that would be.
Initially I thought it was going to be New York or Los Angeles, just because it makes the most sense to get him out to Los Angeles. It makes the most sense to get him out to New York. I've kind of been on the mindset the last couple of years that if Milwaukee did not win the championship this year, or they did not win it next year, that Giannis, whether he asked out or not, would be out, because I think it would be the best situation for both parties. You trade Giannis, you're going to be able to restock your team with draft picks and players that could help rebuild your roster for the future. And then Giannis can go to a better situation for him where it's more of a win now situation for him. All morning now, I don't know how accurate this is, but all morning I'm hearing the Chicago Bulls linked to Giannis.
Okay.
And that makes a ton of sense because of the market. It is Chicago. Chicago hasn't had that face of the franchise since Derrick Rose was here.
Yeah.
And it's just yes, it's an interdivision trade, which teams don't like to do that. But it would be that situation where if Chicago is going to do something and be willing to kind of give up a lot for one person, this would be the time to do it.
And you can bet on those odds right here on Coast to Coast by using the QR code on the screen. Your first 3 deposits up to 125% of those and a 10% bet guarantee in case he stays where he's at. Be sure to use the QR code and bet alongside us right here on Coast to Coast. If you are in the Pacific Northwest, May is spring cleaning time. If you haven't done your duct cleaning, there is probably all kinds of nastiness in there. And if you have allergies, it can be a huge contributor to sneezing. So get your duct cleaning scheduled today. And of course, if you are also here in the Pacific Northwest, you can use this QR code right here. Free 5-day pass, any of the 3 True Fusion gym locations, whether it's Bellevue, Ballard, University Village, Pilates Boot Camp, Yoga, Bar, and more. Find your edge, True Fusion Gym. And coming soon, my Wednesday show will be on 97.3 radio out of Atlanta. So there we go.
So you did go with the radio show in Atlanta.
It does look like I'm going to do it. So
because that wasn't looking like the case. Now that's interesting.
Yeah, well, that it makes some sense. It makes some sense.
Okay.
So
I'm glad you did.
Still working out the days and what it would be, but yeah, 97.3 ICU radio.
I see you too, Bo.
Yeah.
I just want to say one thing real quick. I like how when Stat Guy gives you a lob, you run with it in the commercial. I give you 2 lobs and I get crickets. I love how that works.
Yeah, well, sometimes you guys set it up in a way where it's actually not helpful to who it is we're trying to brand. So although it would be an easy transition, it would be like pulling money away from them. They're like, oh, with these idiots, yeah, I'm not going to this job.
Since we're on basketball now, what was everyone's thoughts on the Pacers' historic first half last night? We saw last week Oklahoma City set the NBA record for points and a half with 78, and then the Pacers said, "Hold my beer, I'll put up 80 points in the first half this game," and they basically made their last 7 shots in the last 3 minutes, where it didn't matter what they were chucking up, it was going in.
I can say that I watched 0 things because I was hanging out with my mom.
Oh yeah, that time it would have been because it would have been like 5 o'clock your time. That's right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Maybe you should have been hanging out with your mom, Stat Guy.
My mom is currently on a plane to Italy, and I hung out with her on Saturday.
So basically, you're saying you should be hanging out with her because you'd be in Italy right now.
I don't want to go to Italy right now.
I would go to Italy right now.
I wouldn't go right now.
I would go to Italy right now. I'd go link up with Joe and get some of that mad vino he's talking about.
I'm saying bring me the food. Let's go. I will 100% fat kid my way through Italy.
So, Pacers game. You brought that up. The one highlight that I did see about that, which is intriguing, was the fact that Mathurin was ejected for throwing a punch to boy's, I guess it was in his stomach area. How long is that going to play out? Does he just ejected that one game, or will he be allowed to play? Okay, so he'll be allowed to play the next one.
It shouldn't have even been an ejection. It was the cheapest ejection call there was. And I think a lot of it had to do was this was kind of brewing between the two, Hunter and Mathurin all series. Mathurin had a hard foul on Hunter in game 1 where Hunter thought it should have been a flagrant. It was just called a common hard foul. Game 3, Hunter does a hard foul on Mathurin. Same situation. Mathurin thought there should have been a flagrant call, and it was just called as typical hard foul. So you kind of saw this brewing between both players. The only reason why he got ejected was they called it a punch, but it wasn't necessarily a punch. All he really did was he stuck his hand out, hit DeAndre Hunter in the midsection, but it was with a closed fist. Had it not been a closed fist and it would have been an open hand, it would have just been a straight offensive foul and nothing called. It's the fact that it was a closed fist. Anytime it's a closed fist, they consider it a punch. It was an ejection. It's not going to lead to a suspension for the next game. But even like the announcers, even the TNT crew at halftime even said like that was such a cheap ejection because he didn't wind up and punched him. It was just like a closed fist where he was just kind of pushing himself off to get separation.
Yeah, that's kind of weak.
And that ultimately that is what changed the game because I think that kind of awaken the Pacers offense a little bit, because after that foul was called, it was good night Cleveland, because the Pacers came out swinging, and if it was a boxing match, that game would have been called at halftime.
Yeah. I wonder if the officials ejected him because they wanted to send a message that they're not going to let it get chippy or anything like it was with the Milwaukee Bucks, or they were trying to keep everything in order and an alignment.
Oh,
yeah,
that's what it was. Like I said, if it wasn't because it was like the history of the series so far, like if these two didn't have the run-ins they would have had throughout the opening part of the series, this play just goes down as a common foul. The refs let it go and nothing happens. It's the fact that they've been involved multiple times in this series already for hard fouls on each other. They just wanted to send a message and be like, we're not going to let this escalate any more than where it's at. Like, you did it, you're gone. If Hunter does it next game, he's gone. We're not going to let it get to the point where it could get a lot worse.
right.
Yeah.
It's interesting. And then I think at this Golden State play tonight. Who plays tonight?
Golden State plays tonight. I believe the Celtics and Knicks play tonight.
And there's still no. I guess probably Steph won't be in this game either.
Steph's out until Game 6 at the earliest. So depending on how long the series goes, he might not be back the whole series.
I got you. Okay, yeah, because Minnesota does lead 2-1 right now, and I have one more game, I believe, in Golden State, which is tonight.
Even if he does come back,
right?
You know, it's not going to be probably full minutes. It's probably not going to be full blast the whole time. I mean, the problem with a hamstring injury is they're so easy to re-injure.
Yep.
He'll be on a pitch count even if he does come back.
So do you think it's safe to say, though, that then Minnesota probably is going to walk with this series in?
I still think it goes 7 games.
Yeah, I was going to say, they're still going to have to battle. It's not like without Steph, they're a bad team. I mean, they can still get out there and mix it up. And it's not like they're losing a juggernaut on defense because Steph isn't there.
Yeah, I still think it goes 7 games. Like this,
I don't know. I feel like without Steph being there, though, they have struggled a lot more. You know, I mean, Jimmy has done what Jimmy has done, but when Ant-Man is on and playing at his game, I just don't know that they have enough to hang with them. And I think I can see it going 6 and being done. I know that sounds kind of crazy to say that.
But I could see a scenario where it's 6 games. I mean, they miss Steph. I'm not trying to say they don't.
Right.
I'm just trying to say that they don't lose anything on the defensive.
Uh-oh. Bo lost audio.
That was really weird.
That is bizarre.
See? It's that voodoo magic. You call me an idiot.
No, I said we all are.
Oh, okay. Because, you know, technology does that to you, Bo.
It was actually a different tab. I was editing some other videos, and apparently it refreshed and decided to play.
I think tonight is the ultimate. Like if Golden State loses tonight, I think Minnesota ends it in 5. It's just because this game is in Golden State tonight. If they lose basically both of their home games, it's pretty much a knockout blow at that time, where it's just going to be one of those mental tolls where it might be too hard to come back from. But if Golden State finds a way to win it tonight to even things back up, I'm not going to be shocked to see it go 7 games, just because I'm trying to think. I could be wrong, so I'm not going to say I'm 100% accurate on this, but I do not think Steve Kerr has ever lost an elimination game on his home floor unless it was in the NBA Finals. So if it ends up being they're down 3-2 in Game 6, I don't think Kerr has lost that situation to get it to a Game 7. That's why I still think it's going to ultimately end up going Game 7.
The one thing I think could be a weakness for Golden State, or could potentially put Golden State in a bad way in this game, is because I feel like because this game is so pivotal and they are going to be going back to Minnesota, I wonder if Draymond is going to be able to keep himself under control, or if Draymond will at times maybe get frustrated trying to get the team going or get himself going, or maybe get upset with the other people because of the magnitude of the game. Can Draymond keep himself under composure, or will we see a typical Houston Rockets series version of Draymond where you just lose your mind every other play?
I mean, it's possible. I think one of the bigger issues is, can they put up points? Because they haven't broke 100 points yet in this series.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I think that's going to be one of the biggest things. I mean, if you're not putting up over 100 points in today's NBA, you're not hitting shots. So if they come up short again, then yeah, I could see this thing getting wrapped up quick. But, I don't know. We'll see. This will be a really important game.
I know a lot of people think probably like Jimmy Butler is going to be the catalyst to getting them going. I think if I had to say who I think has got it, the difference between Golden State winning this series, or not winning so much the series, but winning this specific game, is going to fall on the heels of Pajetsky and Buddy Hield, those two role players getting their three ball going, getting their shots going. Because when those two guys get their balls going, everything seems to click for Golden State. When Buddy Hield gets going, so does Golden State. You know what I mean?
You channel in your inner Charles Barkley there.
The pride of Wisconsin right there, Brad and Pajinski.
Man.
He's from Sheboygan, Jay.
Who is Pajetsky?
Yeah.
I didn't know he was from Sheboygan.
And on that note, we are gonna
Brad and Pajinski.
We definitely don't need another Sheboygan episode, so we're gonna go ahead and call it a day. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure to like and subscribe. Helps us bring our stuff to you. If you're watching on Roku, stay tuned for the next hour. Otherwise, we're going to get out of here. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Take it easy, everybody.
Go Sheboygan.